Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday, a new week of celebration of Namaste. I'm so happy to be here. I was down for the count yesterday, but feeling much better today. So thanks for all of your love and prayers. Every once in a while, I guess we just need to have time just to lay in bed and recover. And that's what I did. I am ready to go. Here we are. And this week, I think most of the week, Vicki is with family, and so she won't be with us. But I believe Reverend Stephen, our other dear Unity minister, is with us. Stephen, are you out there? I just want to know before I call on you a little bit later.
I am here. Hello, everybody.
All right. So good to see you. Actually, Stephen and I have been doing a lot of stuff together lately. He is my co-author of the next book, not the non-dual universe, which is the one that's getting ready to come out, but the one after that, which is called The 10 Symptoms of Enlightenment. Doesn't that sound interesting? The 10 Symptoms of Enlightenment. So Stephen has been working hard on that with me and can't wait to share it. So good morning, Stephen. I'll be bringing you in just a moment, but I want to begin by sharing a story. I've been lately enjoying the parable way of teaching, as Jesus and almost every great spiritual teacher, how they shared these deeper lessons through stories. So I want to share this one today, and we'll see where it takes us. And after I hear from Stephen, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think this really means? What do you think the heart of this lesson is? So here we go. This is called Love All, for all is love. Love all, for all is love. A famous spiritual teacher was traveling through the town where the master and her disciples lived. Some of them were fascinated by the accounts they heard, stories of miracles and signs of great wonder. So they went to the master and asked her how they can know if the visiting teacher is of the highest spiritual value. Ask this teacher to tell the difference between a true authentic experience and one that comes from the ego, she said to them. If he gives you a concrete answer or a step-by-step process for understanding the difference, then turn away and run to me, return to me. But if he simply looks at you and smiles, or even laughs at the question, then listen to his wisdom and follow him if you're so guided. And so the disciples went to the teacher and were joined by a vast number of people, all of whom had heard of his great reputation. When it was time to ask the teacher questions, one of the disciples stood and asked the one that they were given to ask. Let me tell you the top 10 ways. Well, that's funny, since I just talked about the 10 symptoms of enlightenment. I didn't think of that before now, but let me tell you the top 10 ways that you can know the difference between a true, authentic teacher and one that comes from the ego, the teacher said, and then gave a long dissertation on the subject. When the disciples returned to their master, she asked them what had happened. It was as you warned, one of the disciples answered. The answer he gave was intellectually sound, but it lacked the heart that you so generously offer. The only authentic spiritual experience you will ever know will spring from the heart of your heart and the very center of your center, she said to them. You will always know the difference if you listen to your heart. And it will always answer you with the only answer it knows. Love all, for all is love. So that's our story today. And that simple answer that she offers, I think says it all, doesn't it? We don't need to complicate that which needs no complication anymore. I've always felt and seen that the ego, or that part of the mind that refuses to accept union, is constantly looking for the complicated path, because it knows that the surest way for its survival. If it can keep it out there and keep theorizing and keep trying to figure it out, instead of realizing that it figured you out a long, long time ago. But if we can keep it out there and have intellectual discussions about that which could never be intellectual, never be understood by the intellectual mind, then it's firmly established. The ego, or the split mind, is firmly established. But the moment we come to the simple teaching that she offered, love all, for all is love. Can we get any more simple than that? And there's clear instruction. Clear instruction. It's not just a fanciful idea. It's telling us how we do this, how we live into this, by loving all and recognizing that that's all there is. Love is the supreme source of all reality. And it's especially in those times when it's such a challenge to love another. A challenge because we're having our stuff is being challenged. Our addictions are being triggered, whatever it may be. This is the time when the highest possible growth can be achieved. To love all, for all is love. It's a very simple message, but if we could just keep that in our minds today and every day and use it as a challenge. This is how we ascend. This is how we live into this message. Now, today is, as most of us from the US know, today is the Independence Day. It's the 4th of July. I'm looking at the back of the room, and the Daily Word says, I declare independence from limiting beliefs. You know, it's funny because right before the session started, I was standing over here, and we have a kind of roaming pet here at Namaste Village. You all know who I'm talking about. There are a huge number of feral cats in the neighborhood. They just hang out on the roofs. But one of them has realized that they're in no danger. We don't have any dogs chasing them as we once did. So there's one that likes to come around and walk around and doesn't feel any danger. However, if you try and pet it, no, it won't come near you. It'll run off. If you ignore it, it's perfectly comfortable hanging around. And I was thinking about, as I watched the cat right over here, I was thinking about that. And I realized this is what I do. This is what we all do in declaring our independence from the divine. We don't want it to get too close. We're comfortable enough in a situation like this, approaching the truth, getting close but not too close. Just like the cat will wander around but won't let you get near it. We won't let God get near us until we come to the point of such, I don't know, the word that comes to me is collapse, where we realize there's nothing but this, that all is love. Therefore, why am I running? Why am I declaring independence from that which has never declared independence from me? So I realize that today is the day for us to make a great and grand declaration of dependence upon love, dependence upon the divine. And maybe that's what the story is about as well. It's not about looking outside of ourselves for the next teacher who is giving the highest possible wisdom and just scratching the surface of the intellect. I think we've come to the point where we know that that's never going to satisfy. That's never going to scratch the itch. This is the time when we come together and we focus our hearts on the heart, the center of the center. So just give your love, just offer every moment to love. Make your declaration of dependence today. And maybe tomorrow that cat will start coming to us. We'll see. Anything is possible. I have a feeling that Surrey is gonna wear it down, because don't you feed him every day? Yeah, Surrey. That's why the cat hangs around. But in the same way, God is feeding us every day. God is nourishing us every day, giving us everything that we need, but still we hold back. It's time to stop holding back. It's time to stop approaching that divine fire and just throw ourselves into it. Anyway, that's my take. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen now and hear what you would like to share. Good morning, Stephen.
Well, I'm going to take my lead right from the story, and I'm just going to smile and laugh. There's so much wisdom in that, because if we're grasping from something, we're so conditioned to rely on the intellect, the conditioning, the programming that we've accumulated over our lifetime to reason through experiences, conditions, events, circumstances in our lives. And, we've been sharing the same message for years. You've been sharing the message for years and years and years, James. And it is about dropping out of the ego and the intellect into that space of the heart. Bob Davis made a great comment at the beginning. The ego's there, it's going to be there. But some of the writing that I shared with you, I say we let that just be the condiments of our individuality. The salt and pepper and the spices that give this garment flair and color. But we want to condition it to be subservient to that individuality that is the God in us pressing out into visibility of what we all are. I like to look at the independence that you talk about. We can look at dependence, and we can look at the prefix there, the in, right? Where do we first know that love as an experience, not from the intellect, but from the heart space? We know it within. So I like to look at Independence Day, especially since I speak to people like you, James, and everybody else out there all over the world that celebrate this day, looking at it as independence. Independence, let it point to that heart space. Let it point to that wholeness you are when you live from the power and the presence of God you are, pressing out. Independence, look at all the words that have that in there, within. Inspiration, spirit in us, right? Intuition. And let independence tell you that where you need to go is not to consult with ego, not consult with the intellect, not read many books that give you an answer. Because James, you shared something as in this project that I've ended up talking a lot about, and when I do some Sunday talks, and that's until we have an experience of something, until we actually demonstrate this truth, that we are love, that all there is love, that we are all an expression of God. Until we prove that and demonstrate it, all we have is a belief in the principle or the concept. We might say, you know what, that makes sense to me, but what does it make sense to? It makes sense to the ego, the reasoning factor, mental faculty. It makes sense to the intellect. But until we just say, you know what, I want to go further than that. I want to prove this. I want to model it, and I want to demonstrate it. When we demonstrate it, we have the experience of this principle that all there is love. Then we know it. We move beyond belief to that knowing. And where does it all start? Inside. Independence Day. Let it mean all that to you and more. Live in love, not just simply doing loving things, but being what love is. And then knowing that that's what you are. Take it a little bit further. It's easy to, there's no place like home, I am love. It's easy to do that. But when we step out into the world around us, and this is what we're working on now in chapter 8, it's stretching, is make sure that we see everything else as the expression of divine love that it is, in every person, every animal, and every living thing, and everything. I can even give you an example of seeing God in a piece of paper, because the light is in there, the water that nourished the wood, it's all in there. So do this and know that that's what we're working on this project together. I told James in the beginning, it's not going to come from intellect, because I can't do it that way. I'm not the writer that James is, and I know James has always written from his heart, has discerned what is of spirit, what is of love. And I said, I'm not going to spread books in front of me and regurgitate somebody else's information. I'm going to take an outline and take it into deep, deep meditation and just let it flow through me and express. And before I write, it's always, Spirit, speak to me in ways I cannot possibly ignore, so I may discern your will in your way and be the love that you want to express in this world. James, thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me share. I'd love to hear from everybody else out there. And so good to see everybody, and come on out, starting to feel better a little bit every day. So thanks for the invitation.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Stephen had to go through a bout of COVID recently, so he's getting back to full strength. But I think I really appreciate what you shared, the recognition of how many ins there are calling us inward into that simple message that was at the heart of our story. Love all, for all is love. If we could just stay with that one short little sentence and live it, vibrate with it, take it in, the rest of it happens on its own. So I want to check first here at Namaste. Anyone want to share what they received from that story? Any insight? Yes, come on up. Kenneth.
Am I on camera? I've just got to share. It's very simple. I've got to share something very simple. I started this whole spiritual journey in 12-step programs over 30 years ago. And my first sponsor in Al-Anon was an absolute angel. And she would always say to me, "You're complicating it, young man. You're complicating it." The seeds were planted a very long time ago. So I love that parable.
Keep it simple. Because it is simple, and the need to overcomplicate is the ego's need to not get it, not really deeply get it, to penetrate. And so keep it simple. Yeah, thank you.
Well, it was actually it was KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, was she used to say to me.
I think we all could use that message. Anybody else here at Namaste want to say anything? Okay, let's go to the Zoom room. If anyone would like to share an insight from the story, there's a button down to the bottom of the screen that says reactions. You can raise your hand. There's a call, Dev. What would you like to share?
I'd like to share a dream that I had a few days after I came back from being on retreat with you at Namaste Village in March, and also the aftermath of the dream. So in the dream, I'm at the airport. I'm on my way home from Mexico, and we're all at the baggage claim, and my baggage is gone. It disappeared, and nobody can tell me what to do. I asked the person working there. He said, I don't know who you talk to. I don't know what form to fill. I don't know. My baggage was gone.
That's good.
Yeah, and so I woke up from the dream and I said, Gee, that could be a good promotional for your retreat. Come to Namaste Village and lose your baggage. So the other part of this is that in waking life, I came home and it took me a few days to actually unpack my suitcase. I call it a skirt case. So it just sat there in my bedroom for several days. And my cat, who typically sleeps pretty much all day and then goes out for his nocturnal visits, hunkered down on top of my suitcase and didn't move all day long for like 3 or 4 days. And the message that I got from him is that he was soaking up the energy of Namaste.
That's beautiful. Yes, thank you. That's what we do here all day. We soak up the energy of Namaste.
And by the way, his name is Narayan, and Narayan is another name for Vishnu, who's part of the Hindu Trinity. So he's a very advanced being.
Beautiful. Thank you, dear one. Anyone else want to share any insight from the story? No, nobody's raising your hand. How about one more? We have a little bit of time here. How about one more insight? I'm sure there's someone out there who's feeling something moving inside them just from that one saying, love, for all is love. That's a trigger point. Yes, Calico, we would love to hear from you.
This is great. And it speaks to the experience of love, not the intellectual. There's nothing intellectual about it. And just this morning, that cat you were referring to, the black and white cat that's very feral. I was sitting outside and I put food out for about 4 months for it during the day. And it comes and eats and it'll sleep on my chair. But don't touch me, was kind of what I was getting from it. But what I just realized when I was out there, that's my projection. Don't touch me. And so I took it back and I thought, okay, this is what we're talking about here, is this experience. And the cat jumped up to eat and I was sitting right there and I just put my hand out and started scratching its head.
Oh, wow.
Initially, the cat pulled back and it startled me. So I pulled back and I thought, isn't that the way this works? Because the only thing that keeps me from being love is my fear of it. And so I did a couple of deep breaths. The cat kind of went back to the food. And I thought, okay, God, this cat is just my mere projection. And I put my hand back down and started scratching its head and its back. Didn't move.
Wow.
So it's like, that's the example of living this and seeing when we're fearful, it's our projection that needs to be cleared. There's nothing else happening. And it was so clear to me when he pulled back, I pulled back, we both kind of, oh my God, what happened? And I thought, oh, that's my projection. And it's like, go back to God, take a couple of deep breaths and give it a go again. And the cat was completely receptive to it. So I just needed to share that. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Between you and Surya and God knows who else is feeding that cat. That cat is going to be very fat before long and perfectly tame as well. I love this because this is exactly how we react to the divine, to God reaching out for us. Don't touch me. I'm afraid of what might happen. I'm afraid of how it might feel if love truly penetrates. But then when we just hold still and breathe it in, obviously none of us mean harm to the cat. Obviously there's no harm that's going to come to us when we let love penetrate that armor that we cover ourselves with like a big medieval soldier. with a metal armor. Finally, when love penetrates, we realize this is what freedom is. This is what I've always wanted. Deep down, this is what I've always wanted, to be penetrated by love. There's nothing to be afraid of. One of these days, that little kitty is going to realize there's nothing to be afraid of back here. I promise within about a month, that cat's going to be just roaming around. Everybody here is going to be petting it. Because when we get the lesson, guess what happens? The lesson has been gotten by all, even by the cats. I just hope that all the feral cats don't start to follow suit. We may be inundated. I remember back when we had Gracie, our wonderful community dog, there were no cats anywhere near because Gracie was a hunter, and that she thought that was her job, to make sure no cats came anywhere near. But then we had a rodent problem. We don't have a rodent problem anymore. Maybe the rodents, the mice are those little thought projections, those little fearful thoughts that get out there and run around wreaking havoc. But when everything is in perfect balance, we realize that simple lesson from today. Love all. For what? All is love. It's that simple. So thank you, everyone. What a beautiful lesson. I want the peace of God. What a beautiful reminder. Why don't we sing just that one line? Love all, for all is love. You want to do that with me?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what comes. Love all, for all is love. Love all, for all is love. Join me. Love all, for all is love. 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 Feel that now. Love all, for all is love. Going even deeper. Love all, for all is love. 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 All is love. And so it is. Thank you, dear ones. We love you. Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, Calico. Thanks, Akal Dave. Thanks to all of you. Have a blessed Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye for now.
everybody.
Many blessings, everyone.